Taylor steps forward, heart pounding, voice barely steady but razor sharp as Ridge kneels before Brooke, ring in hand, light glinting on the diamond. The world seems to hold its breath. Ridge's eyes shine with love, his future poised on the brink of promise. Brooke stands radiant, hopeful, eyes glistening with anticipation. In that golden moment, Taylor strikes words slicing through the air like a blade. Brooke slept with Nick before he proposed to her on the boat. Silence crashed down. Ridge's hand freezes mid-air. Brooke's breath stops. Hearts pound in frantic rhythms. Shock floods Ridge's face, confusion and betrayal warring in his storm-tossed eyes. He stares at Brooke, desperate search for truth there. Taylor doesn't pause, knowing the moment is everything. She always planned to marry him, Taylor says, voice cold with resolve. But after Ridge saved her, Brooke didn't hesitate to dump Nick. Room spins. Gasps. Brooke's cheeks flush scarlet. Her lips part, words dying before they come. The whole scene trembles with emotion. The ring, the boat proposal memory, the tangled web of loyalty and deceit. Ridge lowers the ring. The weight of what he's heard crashed into him. Brooke's betrayal before on that boat, springing Nick's proposal, Nick's vulnerable declaration of love and Brooke's acceptance, the promise of marriage. And then Ridge's heroic rescue at that rescue that meant everything to Brooke and everything. Brooke, caught between two men, sweeping into new territory without hesitation. Taylor watches Ridge struggle, heart pounding, Ridge's trust shattered, his dream collapsing. Brooke tries to speak, begins to say, Ridge, but Ridge holds up a hand, voice tight, no. Taylor's words are enough. The ring drops from his fingers, clatters on the floor, echoing like a verdict. Ridge's betrayal cuts deeper than any blade, and Brooke stands rooted, helpless, exposed. All eyes weighed down. The air hums with tension. This shock reveal rewrites everything. Brooke's secret liaison with Nick, the promise she made to him on the boat, then Ridge's daring rescue, shifting her loyalties, shedding Nick without hesitation. Layers unfold of loyalty, selfishness, shame. Brooke heard Ridge's name, saw the proposal, and yet already carried Nick's secret behind her. Ridge's world crumbles, Nick's plans undone by Brooke's shifting heart. Taylor, voice trembling with resolution, stands as both avenger and catalyst, exposing what Brooke hid. Brooke's mind races. It wasn't real, she whispers, voice trembling, pointed at Nick's boat proposal. I was confused, it meant nothing. Defense falls hollow in the charged silence. Ridge's shoulders slump. His love for Brooke battered, his faith broken. He looks to Taylor, Woe steels herself, voice softer now, you couldn't keep it inside. He deserved to know, Ridge nods, numb. Brooke's tears spill, words tumble, Ridge, I never wanted to hurt you, you came for me, I panicked, but Ridge shakes his head. His love, too battered, retreats behind frozen lines. You panic had, but in that panic you betrayed me. The elevator doors clang shut somewhere. Ridge steps back, his dream unraveling. Brooke reaches for him, but he pulls away. The ring somehow heavier now as a symbol of shattered trust. Nick stands at the periphery, stunned by the revelation. The promise he thought he shared with Brooke now revealed as gone, replaced by Ridge's rescue rewriting Brooke's allegiances. Nick's face flashes shirt, regret, bitterness. The tapestry of betrayal ensnares all three. Taylor's confession echoes, Brooke denies her promise to Nick. After Ridge's daring, Nick's anguish becomes part of the wounded tableau. In the stunned lobby, everything changes. Ridge leaves the ring on the ground and walks away, the sound of his retreating footsteps a metronome of heartbreak. Brooke collapses into Taylor's arms, sobbing, guilt and fear raging. Taylor holds her with comfort and conviction in her arms. The boat promise, the secret encounter, shattered by romance and rescue and unspoken tensions. Ridge and Brooke's future splinters. Nick's hopes collapse. Taylor stands amid the ruin, the catalyst of truth. The drama burns, raw and unrelenting. The truth had already detonated once. Taylor exposed Brooke's night with Nick right at the moment Ridge was about to propose a betrayal that shattered the illusion of love, trust, and redemption. But the fallout was far from over. Just as Ridge pulled the engagement ring back, Brooke's eyes furious, desperate, not broken yet locked on Taylor's. And then, with a calmness that made it even more terrifying, she dropped the second bomb. "You knew," she said, her voice slicing through the air like a scalpel. "You've known for weeks. You knew I was with Nick that night on the boat. You knew he proposed. You knew everything, Taylor, and you said nothing." Taylor stiffened, but didn't deny it. The room held its breath again. Rich turned, already shaken, now confused. "You what?" he asked, voice hoarse. Brooke's words didn't flow. "She didn't tell you because she wanted to wait. She wanted to see what I'd do. She wanted to see if I'd fail. I wasn't the only one hiding something." Taylor didn't flinch. "Yes, I knew, but not everything that then. I had reasons." Brooke's laugh was hollow. "You always do." But Taylor raised her chin, voice firm. "I got a call the day before Nick took Brooke out on the boat. A tip. Confidential. From someone who said the whole thing wasn't just a coincidence. That Nick didn't plan that night on his own. That someone else pushed him to do it. Set the whole thing up." Ridge's face darkened. "What are you saying?" Taylor's eyes locked onto his. "I'm saying Bill Spencer was behind it." Silence again. But this time heavier. More dangerous. Taylor continued, steady, factual, precise. Bill intervened. Quietly. He nudged Nick to him just enough doubt, just enough hope. Encouraged him to make a move that night. Because he wanted to see what Brooke would do. He wanted to test her. To test all of us. Brooke blinked. That's insane. But the ground was already cracking beneath her. Taylor didn't look away. He made sure Nick got that boat. He made sure you two would be alone. He knew Reg would come looking. It was a setup. A controlled disaster. He used Nick. He used you. He even used Reg. Ridge's voice, low and furious, broke through. "Why didn't you tell me?" Taylor hesitated. "Because I needed to be sure. And I needed to see what you would do if you found out Brooke slept with Nick. I needed to know if your feelings were real or just nostalgic." Brooke stepped forward, stunned. "You were willing to manipulate all of this just to test Ridge's feelings?" Taylor didn't blink. "You did worse. You slept with his rival the night before he was going to propose. And you were still going to say yes to him the next day." Ridge backed away from both women, fury and exhaustion churning in his gut. His gaze flicked between the woman who betrayed him in the most intimate way and the woman who held onto the secret like a loaded weapon, waiting for the perfect time to strike. Brooke turned on Taylor. "You think this makes you the better woman? You think this makes you look strong? You used me. You used him. And now you're throwing Bill into this like it excuses the fact that you lied." Taylor didn't respond. The accusation hung in the air, but the real damage was already done. Rich stepped back, slowly removing the ring from his pocket, his voice barely audible. "I can't do this." Neither Brooke nor Taylor moved. He looked at one, then the other. "You both had chances. You both made choices. And all I see now is games. Setups. Tests. I was the prize, right?" He looked down at the ring, then set it on the table beside him with a quiet finality. "I'm not anyone's prize." Brooke stepped forward, panicked. "Ridge, please," but he shook his head. "No. I'm done being caught in your crossfire. I'm done being saved, tested, manipulated." His voice hardened. "I need to get out before I forget who I am." He turned and left, the echo of his footsteps like the tolling of a bell. The door shut behind him. Taylor stood frozen, the weight of her strategy turning to ash in her hands. She had exposed Brooke, used the truth as leverage, but in doing so had weaponized trust itself. Ridge walked away from her to not just from Brooke. She had won the argument but lost the man. Her face fell, the victory meaningless now. Brooke watched her, eyes wide and filled with something colder than ragged clarity. Taylor sat down, finally letting herself feel the hollowness of it all. The truth had surfaced. The secrets had been thrown under the harshest light. But there were no winners, just survivors. Brooke took a step back, reeling. Ridge was gone. Taylor wasn't standing taller. The Futurians filled with glittering rescues and idealized Romancino looked like a mirror smashed into sharp pieces. And still, one question haunted her, cut deeper than anything Taylor had said. When the lights went out, when there was no one left to chase or impress or save her, who did she really want? Not who she was expected to want. Not who came riding in at the right moment. But when all the noise stopped, when there were no cameras, no weddings, no boats, no rings, what would she reach for in the silence? The question stuck in her chest like glass. She had always been a master of the pivot off survival, of shifting allegiance when needed. But this was different. The game had imploded. Ridge didn't want to be the hero anymore. Nick had been used as a pawn. Taylor's methods had backfired. And Billoway's in the shadow shed moved the pieces just enough to fracture everything. Brooke walked to the window, looking out into the quiet night. No flashbulbs. No gasps. Just stillness. Her reflection stared back at her, older now, wiser maybe. Or maybe just more tired. The Brooke of old would have chased Ridge, made a scene, begged for forgiveness. But not now. Now, for the first time in years, she didn't know who she was without the chaos. And maybe that was the scariest part. In the next room, Taylor picked up the ring Ridge had left behind. She turned it over in her hand, but it felt foreign, cold, disconnected. It had never belonged to her. Maybe it never belonged to Brooke either. Maybe Ridge was never meant to be one. Or maybe they had both broken him beyond repair. The silence dragged. The aftermath settled. The end didn't come with a bang, but with an unraveling. A slow collapse of illusions they all clung to for too long. Love wasn't the battlefield, it was the casualty. The truth hadn't set them free. It had burned the ground they all stood on. And in that scorched earth, Brooke stood alone and defeated, but exposed. No script. No act. Just the brutal question she couldn't shake. Who am I without the fairy tale? Who do I want when there's no one watching? For once, she had no answer. Ridge left without another word. No notes. No explanations. Just silence. He packed a small bag and vanished from LA, leaving behind the city, the drama, and the two women whose choices had ripped his world apart. The press speculated. His family worried. But Ridge didn't answer calls. He went somewhere no one could reach him, not even Bill. Not even Eric. He didn't want comfort or advice. He wanted space. He wanted to find something real inside himself, against a method that hadn't been shaped by Brooke's chaos or Taylor's calculations. He chose a remote coastal town, no designer boutiques, no champagne galas, just crashing waves and anonymity. There, Ridge walked for hours. Drew again. Let the salt air strip away the years of performance. At first, he couldn't even remember who he was without the triangle. Without the constant swinging between love and betrayal. But slowly, painfully, he began to see clearly. He wasn't healing from one woman. He was healing from all of it, years of giving pieces of himself away till nothing was left. Back in LA, Taylor didn't chase him. She didn't call. She didn't write. She didn't try to fix it. For once in her life, Taylor Hayes surrendered the need to control the outcome. Her revelation, true, tactical, explosive, had cost her the one thing she truly wanted, Ridge's trust. And as the days passed without a word from him, she stopped hoping he'd forgive her. She started building something else, a life that didn't revolve around Ridge Forrester. Taylor returned to her practice. Quietly. No media. No scandal. She worked late hours. Took on difficult cases. She found purpose in helping others confront their trauma, even while quietly nursing her own. She started gardening again, something simple, slow, unpretentious. She filled her house with plants, not people. And in the silence, she began to find comfort. Not peace. Not yet. But something better than the constant war. Steffi came by often. So did Thomas. They were proud of her, worried too, but proud. Taylor didn't offer excuses. She didn't paint herself as a victim. She had made a choice, and it cost her. But there was strength in owning it. There was dignity in not begging for love. For the first time in decades, Taylor wasn't in competition with anyone. She wasn't waiting for Rich to pick her. She was picking herself. As for Brooke, she stayed in the spotlight. But something had shifted. She did her usual round charity events, runway appearances, press interviews, but none of it felt the same. The cameras still loved her. The world still adored her. But inside, Brooke Logan felt the weight of something she had never let herself feel before. Irrelevance. Not in the media, but in her heart. Rich had always come back. He didn't this time. She tried calling. Once. Twice. After the third time with no answer, she gave up. She could still have Nick if she wanted, would always orbit her. But she didn't call him either. Because deep down, Brooke knew it wasn't about choosing a man anymore. It was about facing the mirror. She had been chasing love for so long that she no longer knew what it looked like when it wasn't dramatic, forbidden, or dangerous. And now, no one was chasing her. Not Rich. Not even Taylor. So, she went quiet too. She stopped performing. Stopped pretending. She started spending mornings alone at cafes with no makeup, just coffee and quiet. Donna noticed. So did Katie. They asked what was wrong. Brooke just smiled and said, "I think I'm finally listening." That scared them more than any scandal ever could. Months passed. Rich stayed gone. Taylor stayed grounded. Brooke stayed still. And in that stillness, change began to root itself. One morning, Taylor opened her front door and found an envelope. No return address. Just her name written in Ridge's familiar hand. Inside, a single page. Not a love letter. Not an apology. Just a thank you. Thank you for being honest, even when it hurt. Thank you for letting me go when I didn't even know I needed to. I don't know what's next, but I'm grateful you didn't follow me. For the first time, I feel like I'm choosing something that isn't about the past. I hope you are too. Taylor folded the letter. She didn't cry. She didn't smile. She just sat with it. Quiet. Still. Letting it mean what it meant. Nothing more, nothing less. Later that day, Brooke received one too. I'm not angry anymore. I'm not bitter. You are the love of my life in 100 different versions. But I think we both knew we were holding onto a story that had already ended. Let's not rewrite it again. Let's let it be. Brooke read it twice, then put it away. And this time, she didn't reach for the phone. Because even legends need to end. Even icons have to grow. And for the first time in a long time, all three of them, Ridge, Taylor, and Brooke, were no longer caught in the triangle. They were just people finally stepping out of the storm.